Hello and welcome to, what's today? 48. Day 48 of 365 days of Facebook Live. My name is Jessica Lozano and I am a woman's relationship and feminine embodiment mentor. I love saying that every time. And I help women, single and taken, have extraordinary relationships with the love of their life. We're going to call him in, or we're going to take what you have and magnify it. That's not magnify it. Extraordinarize, whatever that word is. You get what I'm saying. Make it extraordinary. Most of the women that I work with have come from a series of unhealthy, toxic relationships. And they are on this path of creating sovereignty and of this path of creating a union that is like no other, where you are using the creational powers of both, whether you know it or not. Whether you know it or not, but you know there's an energy of God in your relationship. And this is what happens when sacred union couples come together. It is a powerful force. We are technology in living organic form. We create babies. That's a technology. Alchemizing is a form of technology, dare I say. And when you have two people coming together, you are a powerful force of technology to create the life that you want. And what I'm going to talk about today is part 2 of Sacred Union Wealth, because I talked about it yesterday, and I'm going to be honest, there was 3 women that were live with me, and I got really nervous because a lot of the times I'm here by myself. I'm just so used to talking to myself, basically, and knowing that women are going to be watching the replay or people coming in and coming out. So it was just like, I got a little nervous, but thank you so much for the women who joined. It means a lot to me. And keep joining, keep watching live. That's what I really desire, so that I can help hold this space of women, and be still in my flow and still in my magic and regulate myself, which is one of the reasons why I want to do this, And if that's meant for me, it'll happen, right? Because I also regulate when women join my programs and we do a Zoom call live, and there's a few multiple women there, that regulates my nervous system as well as when I do live events, which typically I like better because I can see everyone's faces. Like, I feel like I get something when I see people's faces. I think that's what makes me really uncomfortable when I went on the Facebook Live. It's because I can't see your face. I don't know your reaction. And I'm like, I always think that I need to say something to make sure that you stay, versus just really, which creates anxiety, which creates then me not being as authentic instead of me staying connected to my heart. So that's my intention, to stay connected to my heart as women are joining live. And if they leave, they leave. And it's okay if I take some buffering time to figure out what I'm going to say. So I want to talk about today, part 2, because yesterday I kind of lost track about where I was going to go with my Sacred Union Wealth idea and purpose of why I did this live, right? And I remember one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because of my own manifestations I'm with Ron, and it's like we should be manifesting together. Right? Because if this is a sacred union and we are co-creating life together, then why am I manifesting by myself? Why am I not inviting him in, right? Which is what I started to do, as I spoke about in my previous live, inviting him into my world, and feeling the safety of this man, feeling his freaking stoic, masculine presence. And that has given me so much energetic spine, so much strength that I have more than on my own. And as I started, as this year evolved and I started realizing, like, why am I manifesting myself? Why aren't we manifesting together? Right? It's always like, oh, how much am I going to create in my business, in my business, in my business, in my money? Because for so long, I had built so much shame around how much shame or pride based on how much money I had. What are the things that I had? So I was always trying to chase this feeling of enoughness, of pride, of success, of feeling good about myself, attached with money, and especially with my business, right? And when I went online, or even just my own entrepreneur journey, was holy shit, fall flat on my face so many freaking times, especially being a 3-6 who doesn't do much research, just kind of goes and does things. There was a lot of learning lessons. And so for so long, I tried to make everything like, I have to prove to myself, I have to prove to myself, I have to prove. And proof out of just my own like ego is not even like a proof of like, you know, like an expansive reason. Like, let me see what would be good. Like when I started to stand up to my ex, I wanted to prove to myself that I could be strong enough to hold it, right? That is not ego proof. That is like proof, self-leadership proof. That is like, I'm going to show myself how strong I am. One of the first times that I really regulated myself with my nervous system when it came to money was with there's a launch that I did back in October in 2022 where there was like nobody signing in and my nervous system started to get flared up. And I regulated myself and I said, and I didn't, will that be an example of proof? No. I think a better example, this is a better example. Okay, but I did regulate myself for 4 days. I stayed in the uncomfortable energy, and then after 4 days, I came out. I felt so alive. I felt like reborn. Like literally, it was wild for me to feel like that. And then boom, the first person signed up. That's after 11 days after the launch, and I was doing a 2-week launch, so time was cutting it short. Anyways, so even during this time, I was having I had my own dog business, so I went full time in my dog business and let go of other part-time jobs. Okay, coming to Florida, I said I really don't want to do dog business anymore. I really want to continue to build my business. So continue to start to build my business. And I came here and I said, God, I really don't want to do a part-time job, but if I have to, I will. And I saw my bank account started going, right? And really low. And I was like, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to prove to myself that I can hold this. I can pull this uncomfortable feeling that I can trust. And when I did that, the money started going back up. That's like a prove it moment of your own spiritual strength. But for me, it wasn't a prove it of spiritual strength. It was a prove it of like ego, right? So I've always been chasing this numbers for my business. And then this year is when I realized, no, Sacred Union Wealth, like we are in this together. So why am I doing this alone? Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So this is about building wealth together and looking at numbers together, inviting him in together. Like, okay, let's do this together. Let's not do this separately. It's not about like, okay, for me, it's like, let's look at the month, right? And because I have a greater capacity to grow more, because there's a lot more capacity. I don't have a limit. Right, Ron has a limit because he has a job that pays him a set amount and there's no overtime in this job. Of course, he can do other things on the side, right? He could start doing some IT work on the side and things like that. For sure he can. But let's say if we're just sticking with like his job, he only has a limit. I have a greater area of expansion. And with this building of wealth, where I want to be at, and which is what I was talking, where I was going with this, is like manifesting together. And through this manifesting together, inviting him with what I want to create for us, right? With us together. It's going to be a journey of, and this is kind of, I think, where I got stuck. Well, I think I want to backpedal Do I want to backpedal a little bit? So the other reason why I think I did that too, where I felt like I wanted it to be just me, where I was like just so focused on me, is because of that. I felt like I had the bigger growth, the bigger expansion, and I felt like I had to do it because of my own father wounds, where it's like if I would ask my father for a desire when I was a girl, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't push himself to get uncomfortable to fulfill my desires. You know who did? My mother. My mother would push herself to make herself uncomfortable to fulfill my desires, and she still does. And not that intentionally that I do it, like I ask her. It's just like there's certain things that she notices and then she does it. Like she puts herself in stretchy positions. I think my mom was also a 3-6. But anyways, my father hasn't, right? So I've been taught, and then what I've seen is that the woman takes the risks. The woman does all these things. So what I have to be careful in with this, and this is for me, and this is what I'm integrating this year, and I'm excited to come to the other side and be able to speak out of this embodiment place, is to do it together and continue to see and to believe in his abilities, even though right now in the predictable realm there's only a certain limit that he can make, right? And to continue to keep him in that space of respect, of being like, babe, this is what I really desire. This is what I want. And continue to hold that space with him and see him as that provider. Do you get what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that I cannot make money and continue to expand. It's more about it's like not taking something from him that I know the masculine is capable of. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I feel like it can be a tricky slope, again, if I continue to think that it's all about me, that I can do this, and then take away that providership from him, you know? And that's always been a fear of mine, of like, what would happen if I made more money than him? And Ron always says like, oh, well, I would make more than you because there's no way you could be making more money than me. So I'm like, that's interesting. So that's like something that I want to like kind of like continue to move in and see, is it really that I am his inspiration and his muse? So if I say I would like more, can he create that? Or does it have to be about competition for him? Do you get what I'm saying? So like there's like this slippery slope where I had to be in this place of to be able to see his ability to create massive wealth for us. Believe in the masculine to create massive wealth for us. Because in my life, what I've noticed as a little girl, this is my wounds here, is that the feminine, the woman, my mother, is the one that created the wealth for us. My father, when I asked for a desire, when I wanted him to expand because I wanted something, he would say, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't stretch himself to make himself uncomfortable. So it's like, okay, as I'm building this sacred union wealth with him, with Ron, can I trust him to create the massive wealth for us? And not go into, I have to do it, like energetically take that from him. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me know if that makes sense. This is kind of like new. I'm trying to explain it as I'm feeling into it. Because in co-creating together, it's important to, in the way I see it, in the way I feel it, to stay in your embodiments as well, right? So I want to stay in my feminine pole. I want to have babies. You know, I want to be a mother. And I don't want business or money to get in the front of that, you know? And that will require a lot, I feel, at least in my mind, to lean on Ron, you know? So, which I can, which life has shown me where I can lean on him, but now I want to stretch even more. So in the last yesterday's live that I did, Mapaya, she was listening and she said, I'm only ready for a partner when my business is off the ground, because I know that when I'm opened enough, because that's when I know I'm opened enough to the masculine energy. So this is here where I want to challenge this area when it comes to our belief that we have to be a certain way in order to get what we really want. Like that there's a feeling of, what's the word I'm looking for, of perfection, that I have to be perfect in order to manifest the man, in order until I'm good enough to have, right? So it's like my business has to be ready and off the ground before I can have the person come in. And here's where I say is like, well, what if you don't place those conditions on yourself and you say, God, I know I'm enough as I am right now. I know I'm enough. And because you know you're enough, and even though you know you're in a position where your business is kind of wonky, but you still in your heart know that you are enough. What if you attract a man who is that stable foundation for you? And from that stable foundation, you're actually able to take off, and he brings you the stability so that you can create stability with money. I'm going to tell you a story. So when I met Ron in April, I already knew that I was going to be leaving corporate and going off on my own. I already knew. And May 1st was the day. So I met Ron in April 3rd. So pretty much a month later, I already had it. I had the LLC. I was doing all the things I was planning for. I was looking at the different gyms because I was a personal trainer at the time. So May 1st comes and I had all these, like, I barely had a strategy, but I had a strategy, and that strategy worked out well. I actually made $10K my first month. And right after that, it started going doot, 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 doot. I think I made $0 the next month, and then maybe I made a few thousand and then went back to $0. So I met Ron, and so we were doing long distance. He was always very supported. I never really allowed Ron in during this time. I don't think I ever told him exactly how much money or what. I don't remember exactly if I told him anything or not. Meaning, like, I know I would tell him that I would get upset that I didn't that much money come in, but I don't know if I ever told him exactly. I probably would have to ask him. And whatever, I did all the things. I got like I hired an agency to do Facebook ads, which worked really well. But I wasn't able to hold that. I wasn't able to hold the amount of people wanting to do a free session with me, and because that's what the Facebook ads was about. And then I couldn't handle it. I didn't have the masculine foundation to support that. And I was still in so much scarcity that I felt that I always had to be working. Basically an employee in my own business. Right, Choochies? Right. So that created an abandonment. I have one of my main wounds is abandonment wounds. And that time, because I healed my abandonment wound with father wounds and men, I pointed it to God, and I pointed it to money. I was like, money is just going to abandon me. It comes and things are going really good, and then it just leaves. So I started blaming God, and I turned my back on God. I said, well, this is human shit. God can't handle this. So then time goes on, and every single time that I'm about to expand, this abandonment wound with God comes up. And I remember telling my mentor this, my coach, and it was almost like, as I was telling her, because I've told this story to multiple times to maybe my mom or something like that, or my journaling session, never really to a mentor. Maybe I can't remember. I've had so many coaches. And then it was like, hold on a second. God never abandoned me. Because you know who he sent to me? A month before I went to be an entrepreneur, he sent me Ron. He sent me Ron. My stoic, stable, secure love of my life. The financial provider. He gave me Ron. And it took me like 5 years, 6 years to realize that. And when I realized that, like I cried. I was like, God never abandoned me. He sent me Ron. And then Ron asked me to move up with him in 2018. That's how much he loved me. That's how much he knew I was the one, regardless of my crazy instability in my career. Now, I did put on a front in terms of I didn't really allow Ron to see how much of in and out I was, and we never talked about that. I did have to sell my condo because I couldn't rent it out, which would be worth so much right now. But he saw past that. Really, Abu? He just farted. Seriously? Ugh, you nasty dog. Woo! He saw past any of the instability, and because I already healed my masculine wounds with men and father, well, actually my abandonment wounds come from mother, because my mother was the one that left, but it manifested in love. But other father wounds I healed in the previous relationship. Most of them. They will always be present in very minor forms that now in Sacred Union, it's like a mastery of these. So God never abandoned me. So this is why I always question when people are like, oh, well, I need to be perfect. I was like, no, you don't. You just need to have the inner union within yourself, but you do not need to be perfect at all. I was not perfect. My business struggled for years. I could barely get it off the ground as a trainer the first year, and then I went online the second year. That one just completely crumbled. And then I tried that for 2 years, and then I did not know what I was going to do for 2 years. That's when I got part-time jobs and all that stuff, because I had no idea what I was going to do. So I had a lot of instability in my finances. Yet, in Sacred Union, wealth, together, I was stable. Do you get what I'm saying? And it took me a long time to realize that I had stability in my life. I was only focusing on my ego pride. This is why I wanted to have the word Sacred Union wealth. The wealth that we are creating as a couple. And wealth is beyond ego pride. Wealth is not just about a number. It's about the abundance of love, the freedom of love, the freedom that we have in our relationship. It's about health. It's about connection. It's about what it's allowing for us to create in our world. It's not just about having a lot of money and having a lot of money. It's like, what are we creating with this money? What are we creating from our hearts from this money? You know? And what are we going to be teaching our children about money and wealth, right? Because I have very clear ideas of how I want to do this. Now, let's see how it happens in actual execution. It's a different story. But I very much know I do not want to have spoiled trust fund babies. I don't want that. That doesn't do anything. That does not do anything for the children. And, but that's a whole different subject. So let me look at my notes because I wrote some stuff down. All right. Okay. So when you say something like that I'm only ready for a partner when my business is off the ground, because I know that is when I'm opened enough to masculine energy. That is placing conditions on yourself and is placing conditions on God. And when you place conditions on God, first of all, you're being extremely disrespectful to the ability that God has for you, but is equally as placing conditions on men. Because God, for the most part, for most people, well, when I say God, I'm thinking about the masculine, the divine Christ consciousness energy, the goddess, which more Sophia Christ consciousness would be more of the feminine, divine feminine energy. But when you're talking about God, when you're placing conditions on God, you're also placing conditions on men, on your love. So you're saying that your love, the love of your life, is only going to be ready to show up in your life when you are financially stable, when your business is stable. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I can't believe that's true. I can't. Because if sacred union love heals, Ron has been tremendously healing for me from the moment that I met him. Then wouldn't that mean that he could help heal just through his own presence, not from a savior energy, from his own presence, from his own ability to love you through all of it, that he could help heal your relationship with money just by being him? Isn't that a possibility? I can't tell you how much Ron's energy has been so healing, and it's not because he's doing anything. He's not trying to save me. He has never tried to save me, because I've definitely healed that energy. So just by merely being him, it's healed my inner child so much, and it's helped heal more of my money wounds and these beliefs. If we were only worthy as a business owner, only worthy of a man or an entrepreneur, a woman making your own money, if you were only worthy of a man when the money was coming in consistently, I wouldn't be with Ron. There's no way. There were months where I made 2 months in a row, I made zero, or like $500 or something like that. It was like more in the summer when people would travel a lot, so their sessions wouldn't be used. So that means that I would have not have been able to hold Ron. I would have fucked that relationship up if that's what it meant. And here's the thing with money. Money comes and goes. Money comes and goes. The lowest I've had my bank account the year that I moved down here, the lowest that I had my bank account where I was regulating my nervous system and holding that, like that prove it moment to myself, like I have the courage to hold this. It was $100. $100. So month one that I meet Ron, I made 10,000. 7 years later, I'm down to $100 in my personal bank account. Just through that fiscal thing, that energy in my specific bank account. But if you really look at money in all the ways, if you look at the roof over your head, like, so how much does it cost there? Even if somebody else is paying for it, how much did that place cost? That's money. All the furniture that you see, everything that you see costs money. And you're in the presence of it. You're laying under the food that you're eating every day, even if you don't pay for it. That's money being worked through you. So it's like, there's so much more to money than just the actual numbers and dollars. There's so much more to it. And you can manifest through people, which I've manifested a lot through people. I went through to a trip in Turkey where all I had to put was $500 and the rest of everything was paid for. I have so much stories about money that I'm so excited for. I think it's going to be coming towards the next year in the beginning of the year, called Money, My Beloved, is so far what I have named for it. But it's going to be a masterclass, going to be a free masterclass. And then I'm going to have a mastermind, a mistress mind after that, to put some other tangible things in place with it. I'm going to make that one super low cost, super effective, because it just feels right. I want as many women in there as possible to be able to feel this energy. And I'm going to talk more about this. I'm going to talk about all the different stories and my relationship to money and how it's manifested and how it's changed. And now with all the things that I'm learning this year, it's going to be even beyond out of this world type of experience, which I'm super excited about when that happens. And if you are in, so far I have it called the Goddess Pass. I'm totally going to change the name of that, but the Goddess Pass is everything is me and you for a year, and you get all the things all the different masterminds and programs that I'm going to be putting out throughout the year. So I started off with Feminine Magic, Dripping Pleasure, which was an additional thing that I didn't think that I was going to have. And that was paid for, that the women in there got to join. And the next thing is Sex Priestess, which, oh my God, I'm supposed to be talking about today, because today's the day that I should be talking about it. So, because I'm going to have it on pre-sale from today up until Monday. Sex Priestess is a program, is a mistress mind that I have put together, which is actually one of the tools that I use in Sex Priestess Mastermind, was a tool that helped me regulate my nervous system when it came to money at the root chakra level. Because sex and money are all related to your root and your safety, your ability to feel safe in order to open up. So Sex Priestess, let me see if I can remember the name of this. It's for the sensual woman who wants to go to the depths of her erotic pleasure, spiritually connect to her feminine body, and have transcendental sexual experiences with God and with her king. Talk about sacred union here. Woo, girl. This is going to be a 6-week, so deeply expansive, and a level of connection with yourself, such a profound connection to your body and through the areas that you create life with, which is your pussy. And this somatic experience with God during this, and integrating that and transferring that with your man in the bedroom, or if you don't have a man now, in the future, being able to have these types of experiences with him. Because a man can only take you as deep as if you have taken yourself, or at least he cannot crack you open deeper until you have cracked yourself open to take yourself into the depths with God, then he can for sure take you even past that. But you have to go to the depths and be able to go into your own depths in order to allow a man to go through that with you. So this is a program that's going to be a lot about healing a lot of our shame that we have around our body. This is going to be a program about really reclaiming our sexual power and pleasure. As a lot of women throughout time, we have lost that power with our body, with our sexuality, because either we misused it, we exploited it because we didn't know any better, and it led us to bad experiences where we just started to shut this energy down because we didn't know. We misused the power of our sex versus having a sacred relationship, right? The polar opposite of that, and knowing how to actually use the power of our sex, our sensuality, our orgasm, and our pleasure, and how we can use that with sexual experiences with our man. So we're going to be doing a lot of healing around shame. We're going to be connecting with our bodies so deeply, so intimately that you're going to be so in love with your pussy, and release stuck energies that are in your body from past experiences, because as women, we hold on to these experiences in our yonis, and regulate our nervous system through that so that you can create more space. You can create space, so much expansive space to receive what you want, to receive the wealth that you want, to receive the man that you want, to receive the orgasms that you want, and really move past any type of shame around sex. And I will say this, sex, there's a lot. Okay, I saw this post or this meme that says, what's something that's more important than sex in a relationship? And for a long time, I used to be like, yeah, well, sex is not that important. It's just like the bonus, but it's not really. Sex is what actually closes the circuitry between man and woman and enhances the amount of pleasure being able to receive in that relationship, right? Because sex is pleasurable if you allow it to be. A lot of women don't think that sex is pleasurable. That was me. I was like, okay, yeah, I get a quick orgasm. But for the most part, it's just like, okay, my God, hurry up and orgasm and come so that I can like get on with my life, right? That is pretty much kind of the energy that I led with or that I felt in the bedroom. And sex is an important part. And actually how satisfied and how fulfilled you feel in the bedroom is very important for long-term committed couples. And it's easy to keep that in the beginning. 1-2 years, no problem. After that, that's when you really get to see what's up. Sex shows a lot. And I want to help you create that sovereign relationship with your sexuality and really have these juicy, fucked open experiences where you're like, oh my God, my heart feels so open. My chakras feel activated. I feel so safe in my body. I feel so safe in my body. If you do not feel safe in your body, you cannot receive massive amount of pleasure and hold it. That's including money. You won't be able to hold it. And that's including love. You won't be able to hold it. You'll fuck it up somehow. I know for a fact if I would have met Ron earlier in my life, I would have fucked that shit up so bad. Because I would not have been able to hold the level of love that Ron comes with. I wouldn't. I would have totally fucked it up because of my own woundings and my nervous system's ability to actually feel that level of safety and love. Why is this thumbs up thing always go up? Okay, so right now, Sex Priestess is at $499. The full value is $999. So right now it's it's at 50% off. It is a 4-day pre-sale. And this is available up until June 10th. So message me if you're interested. Somebody's coming home. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.